everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Water and Chill for the month. It will still be wine and chill, but yes, I'm going to do a dry January, except for tomorrow because Gabriel and I are going on a date. But besides that, your girl is dry. So cheers to that. If you have wine, drink some wine for me. And Happy New Year. This is our first live of the new year. So I'm excited for this. Also, because New York is janky and I put this on my Instagram earlier today, my landlord is very cheap with the heat. I'm a bit under the weather. It's not C91. It's just a small cold. So if I start coughing, that's what it is. Don't be alarmed. Also, I can't give it through to you through the screen. So it'll be fine. How are all of you doing? So excited that all of you are here. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Lily. Hey, Kendron. All right, so we are going to hop into it. Let's go. So first, this is our agenda, a tiny bit of housekeeping so I don't forget. We're going to talk about the insurrection. We're going to talk about these punishments, these timeouts that the thugs have been getting. I find it very interesting. Mind you, 5 people died. 5 entire whole people died, including one police officer, which they killed. I think it's very interesting the punishments they've been receiving. And we are going to lastly talk about the attack on the Voting Rights Act, specifically voter suppression, which is what this is about. Hey, Jace. So happy to see you. I know you've been busy at work. Hey, Elizabeth. All right, so let's hop into it. So for Patreon, we are going to have a live this Sunday at 1 p.m. for Sauvignon Blanc, Sancerre, and Champagne Tears. I always get this wrong, so I got it right today. So yes. Hey, Cadence, watching from the Bronx. I know I'm cold in Brooklyn, so I know you're cold in the Bronx. I hate the cold. So we're going to start with a refresher, just a reminder, because it seems that certain demographics of people have forgotten what happened on January 6th, which I find to be a little bit offensive. So here is the actual live coverage from January 6th, 2021, a la the Washington Post. So we are going to start with that. Is it going? That is not the section I put it on. Oh, hold on. Hopefully it's working. I don't know why. Hold on. See what happens? I set everything up nice and then it doesn't work. Why does it not go away? Okay, watch on YouTube. Let me reset this up and then I will. Oh, I had it set to a certain section too. Such a pain. See, even when I think I'm getting everything done correctly. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if I can fix it really quick. 1 sec. Because it will allow you to You know what? I will just scroll through. Maybe it's format options. So you have to set the size. Okay, I'm going to pull it up in YouTube and then we'll see if that works. 1 sec. See? Stop screen, share. Okay, we're going to scroll through. I had it at the exact moment I wanted y'all to see, but that's fine. I will find it, I think. It was when the breaking and entering started, the crimes, the felonies. Where did it go? I think it's a little bit after this. I think it's around here. Let's start from there.
Existential crisis facing the whole country, but he was clearly talking about the detention in his own conference. Part of Joe Biden's whole appeal
we don't want to hear about Joe.
He's going to lower the temperature and try to bridge the divide, and as he put it repeatedly, he'll absolutely could address the country. And when you watch the rally on Monday night, it's the only place where
I'm going to keep scrolling through till I find the one part I want to show you.
Run out of
which all of it is commotion and mess.
Functionally, the Trump administration.
I think that the top leaders who do have dedicated security.
Is it here?
Voting activists because they thought they might need their vote in Iowa or something. I didn't see that encouragement.
But this is live from last year, 2021. I can't find the exact clip that I wanted to show y'all, but y'all get the gist. All of these people that broke in and entered the Capitol building and caused an insurrection, committing numerous felonies, actually assaulting people, beating police officers, calling police officers the N-word, etc., committing numerous crimes. I had there are some like specific clips in here showing people actually breaking the glass, attempting to scale the walls. The attempting to scale the walls and the one falling on their ass made me laugh. I was like, that's what you get. Sometimes karma's quick.
We're seeing this mob being pushed back by
also, this is when people kept referring to them as a mob instead of which they were, which is insurrectionists and treasonous people, which I find to be very interesting. The language used around this.
As you are aware, they were able to gain access to the Capitol. Behavior, the only riotous behavior that we have encountered is at the Capitol.
All right, so now that we've set the stage and my spotty, hopefully the rest of the videos work. There are a bunch of videos in the front before we get into everything. Hey, Robert, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Awesome. So let me switch back to our slides. One sec. This is why I put everything in slides. Y'all know I'm a little slow with switching back and forth. Okay, Shakram, I think it's this one. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, so we are gonna move on. All right, so to what I was saying earlier, 5 people did die, one of them being a police officer. So keep in mind that yes, collectively or individually, because a lot of details around his death didn't come out, they actually murdered a police officer, these insurrectionist people. And keep in the back of your mind when we go through the charges that people received and the sentence that they received, no one is being charged for murder. No one got charged with that man's murder, even though he was murdered doing his job, which I find very, very, first of all, very sad and very interesting that no one was charged with it. Now, what could have caused this now remember, I'm going to say what I want to say, so if it doesn't apply to you, just let it fly. What would have caused this section of wild whites to act this way? Well, the first thing is, obviously Donnie, but not just Donnie.
Who hides evidence? Criminals hide evidence, not honest people.
I think Rudy was talking about himself. That did not age well. As Rudy was sued by Dominion Voting Systems, who is the voting systems which Donald Trump and his brigade decided to say, Dominion Voting Systems is full of fraud. They did all these things, to which Dominion Voting Systems, because no fraud has ever been detected at this point, because there is no fraud, has decided to sue all of those people for over $1 billion. And yes, those lawsuits are still ongoing, and we covered them, and we're going to go into them in a little bit as well.
Who hides?
And let's continue. And this has nothing to do with Chloe, but the first time that we covered the insurrection, it was buried into the Chloe video because I didn't want to deal with the trolls. Speaking of which, if you decide that you want to troll and you're raising your blood pressure by watching this video, I highly recommend you take some Advil, lower your blood pressure, walk away and relax. Because I'm drinking water and I don't care. Or you could drink some wine. That would probably also lower your blood pressure.
Took to the stage at noon on January 6th.
So before I go into that, there were numerous lawsuits spanning from this. What we are going to sample now is when we covered the lawsuit from, I believe it was 3 Capitol Police officers, then sued Donald Trump specifically for inciting the riot because they were harmed during the insurrection while doing their jobs. 2 of them were Black and one of the officers was white. Important to note because during the insurrection, there were many of the insurrectionists are racist, carrying around the Confederate flag, yelling the N-word at the 2 Black police officers, threatening to murder all of the police officers, beating the Black police officers, and so forth. So this idea that, oh, these are patriotic people is nothing but farce and malarkey. So into from the version of the police officers that were there at the Capitol that day, their version of events. So that's what I'm going to play now.
Took to the stage at noon on January 6, 2021. In an hour and 15-minute speech, Trump repeatedly claimed that the election had been rigged and stolen and said, they rigged it like they've never rigged an election before. Sir, the way this man talks, I'm going to say one thing, and it's not funny, but the way he had said his comment about COVID, People are dying that have never died before. Clearly, Donald, you can only die one time.
He's not that bright, as we all know.
I think never before is his favorite thing to say.
He's not that bright.
We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore. And that's what it's all about. To use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. You people. Okay. When you catch somebody in a fraud, you're allowed to go by very different rules. We've caught you in multiple frauds.
I was going to say it again
Allegedly.
right now. I was like, we catch
Allegedly,
Donnie
you
in a
say
fraud
random
every
things that are
day.
complete lies all the time. Anyways, this is going to raise my own blood pressure.
So I won't go through the whole thing. But as you can see, Trump himself incited the riot, which is why he is being sued in his personal multiple times over for inciting said riot. His supporters named him multiple times as, well, Mr. Donald, sir, I was doing it for you. So I don't understand how we are still having an entire hearing process 1 year later when we all watch the people them on TV do these things. But anyways, American judicialism loves farce and nonsense at all times, as I've said multiple times. All right, so let's continue on. And not to be left out, this is going to be the last video and then we're going to get into it. Not to be left out on one of the people who incited all of this is, I would say, my favorite villain, because it is completely nonsensical and hysterical, is Mike Lindell from MyPillow.
The jackpot with Donald Trump's endorsement for MyPillow, and after a multi-billion-dollar bet on Fox News ads had paid out handsome returns, Michael Lindell exploited another chance to boost sales, marketing MyPillow to people who would tune in and attend rallies to hear Lindell tell the, and quote, big lie that Dominion had stolen the 2020 election. And when MyPillow previously faced legal action for deceptive marketing campaigns, Lindell knew that there was no real evidence supporting his claims, and he is well aware of the independent audits and paper ballot recounts conclusively disproving the big lie. But Lindell, a talented salesman and former professional card counter, child, I just had to slip that in there, so this man is shifty, sells the lie to this day because the lie sells pillows. MyPillow's defamatory marketing campaign with promo codes like Fight for Trump, 45, Proof, and QAnon. Not a QAnon promo.
I cannot.
You know what? Continue. Has increased MyPillow sales by 30 to 40% and continues duping people into redirecting their election lie outrage into pillow purchases. Joe.
A scammer, yes. And Mike Lindell from MyPillow is continuing to be sued and has been sued numerous times, and also has a very low rating from the Better Business Bureau because allegedly his pillows are not good. But he did use his quote unquote big lie that the election was stolen, which again is a lie, to further pillow sales. If that is not the wildest sentence I have said so far this year, I don't know what is. But yes, we do, to Jay's point, we do need a follow-up video just on Mr. Lindell. And I think we will have one because it is a wild, wild thing. It is a wild thing. I think that is one of the wildest lawsuits we have covered. And if you haven't watched that lawsuit, I will find it and then I'll link it in the description box. So yes, I saw Type Effectiveness. Did you see the interview with Trump and Owens? A mess. I saw clips of it because it's two like foolish people, and she thought she had a friend, and that was a lot. That was a lot. It was a lot of nonsense. Maybe we'll cover that. Maybe we'll cover that. But yes, all right. So let's get into it now that we have all of the follow-up. I just wanted to pull some pictures because again, people seem to have amnesia about like what these non-law-abiding thugs were doing, running around the Capitol with the Confederate flag, which, mind you, before this, not even during the Civil War, was the Confederate flag ever in the United States Capitol. Well, that was changed by this man who decided that, you know, his racism belonged in the Capitol building, which he decided to bring his little raggedy flag. Also, what I find very interesting now, again, unfortunately, that one police officer died and 4 other people died, is the language that they have decided to use against these people that have knowingly committed felonies, have knowingly, at the very least, been accessories to murder. They've decided to call these people rioters. This is not a riot. It's not a riot. One of them stole a laptop which is stealing state secrets. So I don't have any idea how you're just letting people walk around with state secrets. Is beyond me. I thought I paid enough in my taxpayer money for better security for the Capitol building, but I guess not. I guess not. So after, this is from CNN. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because y'all know I cannot see. After 50 rioters sentenced for January 6th Insurrection Day, a debate rages over what justice looks like. So for context, there are only 19 of the 50 misdemeanor cases ended with incarceration, and the majority of people have misdemeanors if they were even charged, so only 50 currently. And then the few that were charged with felonies, they receive sentences ranging from 8 months to 3.5 years in prison. As in, everyone that decided to go and commit felonies, including the owner of Rouse's, which is the largest food supermarket in Louisiana. As someone who used to live in Louisiana, I used to shop at Rouse's. Shame on him, including the owner of Rouse's, who him and his former head of HR also attended this foolishness. The most anyone received in prison time was 3.5 years. 3.5 years. So it has been very interesting that estimated damages from the capital damages are estimated to only be 1.4 million. I don't think that that's correct. And I think that it's incorrect because if you watch the videos, they busted a bunch of windows. They were trying to embrace their inner hooligan within and scale the building and messed up a bunch of what looked like previously like very ornate like detailing on the sides of the building. They messed all of that up. But allegedly $1.4 million, they've only collected $70,000 in fines. So who is paying for this? I think they should all pay for it, along with sitting in the chokey. But that's not what's happening. So moving along, the person who got the largest, well, there are two of them, got 41 months. This is Scott Fairland, who, look, this man is having time of his life. The time of his life. The time of his life committing crime. Interesting. He got sentenced to 41 months for assaulting an officer. I would like you to know, if you are a Black or brown person, and if you even think in your mind to resist arrest, you will likely get the same amount of prison time. To resist, to actually assault an officer, it has shown that, you know, there will be much more violence received on your end. Also, 41 months is only 3.5 years in prison. It's laughable. He won't serve all that. He'll probably serve 2 years in prison, if that, which is very, very interesting. And to Maverick's point, I messed with Rouse's since, and you shouldn't. I wouldn't shop there. I highly recommend. The owner of Rouse's, who said he then went on a kind of PR campaign, which was awful, sponsored by his local NAACP chapter, to which he says that he employs lots of Black people and he has always loved the Black community. Sir, it's giving farce and nonsense. It's giving we shouldn't shop at Rouse's anymore. I don't live in Louisiana anymore. I live in New York. But if I live in Louisiana, I would not shop at Rouse's. I don't suggest you give that man your money. So to Robert's point, you end up in the Black house, but if you're Black and assaulting police officers. And to Zoe's point, exactly. It's peak white privilege that this man assaulted a police officer and is smiling about it and is happy about it, has no remorse, and got 41 months in prison, to which he will not serve the entire thing at all. If he serves anything, which is wild. Continuing on, the Viking Man, who decided at the end that he was a vegan, he started crying when he was in prison, had his mother call the prison and say that her son, this hooligan, full-on thug, that he could not eat the prison food, that he needed vegan food. Okay, sir. Committing crimes. He also was sentenced to 41 months in prison. That's it. That's it. He should receive a larger sentence, first and foremost, just for donning this foolish outfit that didn't make any type of sense. Made no sense. For him inciting up all of these middle-aged people. For him also encouraging a bunch of middle-aged, older white people to then proceed to try to scale a building, which is why few of them fell. It is definitely his fault. It is definitely his fault as to why the 45s, the 55s, and the 65s were scaling the building. I highly blame him, and he should also get charged with that for endangering the elderly. It's problematic. It's problematic. I didn't appreciate his behavior. They deserve better than that. They did. They really did. And I think what this is mostly about, and I think where a lot of people don't want to have the conversation and why people will shy away from, oh yeah, it's just those sect of people doing this. Like, they're going rogue. It's not regular people going out there and scaling the building. Yes, it is. Yes, it was a lot of regular people. It was a lot of people. There were multiple people I looked into because there are 700 people rounded up and then having certain charges filed against them. Certain of them were just your everyday HR worker, your everyday grocery store owner, the owner of Rouse's, your everyday IT guy, your everyday this, that, and the next, your neighbor. And it was their neighbors telling on them. There was one, it was the husband went and the wife posted the picture of the husband, proud of the husband, saying the husband was a patriot. Next thing you know, the husband got arrested and the wife sat there and was confused. Oh, I didn't think my picture. So clearly education is needed in this country. But really what this is about is not about this fake steal. It's really about who is allowed to vote in this country and whose vote matters. So this entire time, all of these people have been raising their blood pressure, saying that this is their country. They're taking their country back. Back from who? Taking the country back from who? From Black and brown people. They're upset that Black and brown people are soon to be collectively the majority in this country. Collectively, we don't act that way, but collectively, statistically, upset that certain states like Georgia are now purple, almost blue states. Georgia, they counted the votes numerous times. They are upset that in Arizona, the indigenous community of Arizona said, listen, enough of this nonsense, and voted in Arizona was also a blue state. And that's really what this is about. This is about voter suppression. This is about, oh, you know what? We don't agree that you should count all these Black and brown votes. So we are going to act a fool. That is what this is about. So this is from the newsletter Race Deconstructed. I highly recommend. It's by CNN, and I made this too small, but hold on. Let me look at my email. I'm going to tell you his name. Brandon Tensley writes the article, the newsletter every week. And I would say it's really good. It mostly focuses on the U.S., race dynamics in the U.S., Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Latino, Indigenous, and the different demographics, and how the interplay of being in what should be a multiracial democracy and what people are trying to portray of the demise of a multiracial democracy and the issues that comes along with that. So I wanted to read this excerpt from Assistant Professor Hakeem Jefferson. So he's an assistant professor of political science at Stanford University. His research focuses on the role identity plays in shaping political behavior, which is really interesting. He stressed that January 6th was a racial reckoning against the multiracial coalition that installed Biden in the White House. Now, remember, Biden wasn't nobody's topic. I really don't like when Joe tries to act like we chose him. Biden was, okay, fine, I guess we're stuck with you. I asked for Bernie, but fine. It is what it is. But Biden was elected because multiple demographics decided, hey, we can't do Trump. We can't deal with this again. And it was the power of multiple demographics saying like, okay, we will work together to do what's better for the greater good of everyone, which at the time, which is Joe over Trump. Joe is not doing a good job. I would just like to point that out there. But yes, Joe is the better of the two choices. So against the multiracial coalition that installed Biden in the White House and against the presumed strength of Black voters. It's really anti-Black racism is the majority of it. It's always going to be in America, anti-Black racism. That's always going to be the crux of the issue. So when we think about January 6th, this is his quote, we can't disconnect it from the claims by Trump and other Republican elites that there was voter fraud in predominantly Black cities. And I've noticed a lot of I don't think a lot of mainstream media has latched onto this, the ugliness, because a lot of people in America want to think America is in a post-racial society, and America is not. America is not post-racial. There are probably little to no post-racial societies in the world in the first place. America's definitely not with those girls. America's definitely not in that crowd. January 6th was an attempt by a dwindling white majority to maintain political power irrespective of the means, which is what this is about. This is about those people saying, I'm going to take off my day from work. I'm going to go over here because I don't believe that Georgia is blue. I don't believe that all these Black people in Georgia actually got out of their bed to vote. I don't believe that all the indigenous tribes in Arizona said, yep, I mailed in my ballot. I did all these things. It is nothing but white hubris and privilege. That is what January 6th is about. January 6th is about people saying, oh, I'm taking my country back. From who? From you, from Black and brown people. That's what this is about. And until people start to recognize and to actually stop being so afraid to say what it is, we're going to continue to have this problem. We will have this problem 2 years from now. It'll be commotion and kerfuffle again. That's it. That's all that's going to happen. Robert, ham sandwich is better than Trump. Listen, anything is better than Cheeto. Anything is better than Cheeto. I can't stand Joe, but anything is better than Cheeto. Listen, me and Joe are not friends because Joe made promises about student loans, and that man don't keep no promises. But yeah, so just to point that out there. And then, so I have a map because I like this map is from NPR. I thought it was really cool. Let me make myself small so y'all can see it. So basically, if you're looking at the green are states that have expanded access to voter rights. The orange are states that have, what is the word? Restricted. I was going to say contracted. I was like, that's not the word. Restricted access to voter rights. And then the gray is they're either voting on it or they haven't really done anything about it. I think this has since changed, to be honest, since I think that this map might be from October. I can't remember. I was like looking at the article a while ago. It's from October. I think maybe Alabama joined in the foolery. Alabama also loves foolery. But if you notice where voter rights are being restricted, it's Republican-led states. Florida is led by DeSantis, who is a plum fool, as a Miami native plum fool. Texas has been on a rampage to restrict voter rights, to restrict education in schools. Texas is pulling books from the children's libraries because they don't want children to read books that have any mention of race, any mention of certain LGBTQ plus themes, any mention of something that will make white children feel uncomfortable, which is interesting. Arizona is also restricting rights. Arizona is restricting rights specifically related to the indigenous population in Arizona, which is high, as well as the Hispanic Latino population as well. Arizona doesn't have a very large Black population. Beautiful state, though. Highly recommend to visit. Kansas, Arkansas, Iowa, I mean, who is in Iowa? I don't know what they're bothering themselves for, but hey, they want to join in on the Republican fund. So that's what they're doing. But yeah, so the only steal that occurred is the steal of Black and brown voting rights. That is the only steal that is occurring. Only steal. The only thing that's happening here. All right. And we went through that a lot faster than I thought we would. I just want to put this in there that the New York Times, Georgia, I believe, had 3 recounts. Arizona had at least 2 recounts. I don't know. There were so many cities and states. Pennsylvania had recounts that had so many recounts. And to this day, it is January 6, 2022. There is no evidence of voter fraud because there is none. There is none. There is just disgruntled people wanting to keep a borderline fascist and a full-time racist in power. That's it. That's all there is. So since have gone through this so fast, I guess we'll do calls. We haven't done calls in a long time. Might be a nice way to kick off the year. Also, if you call with some BS, I'll just hang up on you. So, I mean, I wouldn't suggest that. I wouldn't suggest that for your own sake, but hey. And this is a great, actually, before we do calls, I'll go through the chat. This is a great question. I would love to, from Robert, I would love to see how much these recount cost us taxpayers. It's such a waste of taxpayer money. It's such a waste of taxpayer money. Also, if vandalizing the Capitol building was $1.6 million and they're only fining people $70,000, that means the residents of DC, as well as probably federal taxpayer money, is paying to fix the Capitol building, which is also nonsense. Also nonsense. All right, so let's go through some comments. Hi, Shireen. I'm glad you made it to the live. All right. Lakeisha, CNN needs to replay the January 6th coverage like NBA classics on ESPN. Why am I not on ESPN? Yes, I agree. And I wanted to make sure, like, starting next year, it should be in every single history book. Like this, like, let's downplay it. Like a few people just walked into the Capitol building is farce and nonsense. Like, no. Y'all done murdered 5 people. 5 people died. Y'all assaulted numerous other people, is breaking and entering. Y'all are running off with state secrets with a laptop. What's his name? Put his Dutty shoes on Nancy Pelosi's desk. No, negative. To Felicity B's point, to Jace's point, we can't allow these people to forget what they did. Exactly. I think every year on the year, we'll just have an annual live and just remind them. I think it will make all of us happy. All right. Thank you, Kendron. It's actually matching. Look, there's pants. This is my Mardi Gras outfit, which I wore to work because all they see is the top, but it's like freezing in here and this is like comfortable. All right. Okay. Hold on. Did we hear that Jim Crow Joe? Y'all saw he called us Negroes the other day. I was like, wait, Joe thinks we're back in 1967. He went on national television and said, the great Negro, in referring to, I'm very bad at baseball. I'm not a baseball. I love basketball. Referring to this black baseball player, was like, the great Negro. And I was like, did Joe just call us? He did. So Jim Crow Joe is apt, said he wasn't going to push through any relief packages because the economy has recovered. I don't think he lives in reality. So there's that. There is that. Robert's point, the language is so much nicer when you're white in regards to calling these insurrectionists and violent thugs rioters. Yes, it is true. It is true. There's a humanization of white criminals, and there is always a dehumanization of Black and brown people in general. You could be doing the right thing. You could be the victim and you'll get dehumanized. For example, Ahmaud Arbery, during his trial, the defendant for some reason brought up his toenails and was like, he had dirty toenails. What? First of all, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. That's irrelevant. What does that have to do with the fact that man was just jogging in the neighborhood and these 3 white thugs, white men, chased him down and killed him? What does that do with anything? Nothing. Type effectiveness. Did you see the clip of a pastor praying to a cardboard cutout of Trump? I told y'all American Christianity I find to be problematic and questionable. I mean, it's very much giving the golden cow. It's giving the golden cow. All right. Okay. Let's go through this. Robert, don't forget spraying the police with chemicals. Yes, that gave one multiple seizures and killed him a day later. There were multiple articles and I couldn't figure out like how he actually died. Okay, so again, no one was charged with that man's murder. Not one person got charged with his murder. And which goes to Jace's good point. Interesting how conservatives are all about law and order and respect the badge till it gets in their way. Yes, the way that they treated those police officers shows that it's all conditional. It's all very much conditional. And because my pillow is hilarious, I think maybe we'll do like maybe it'll be like a short video, like update on an investigative report on Mike Lindell, the pillow guy. Because he's a fascinating, shifty person. Like, how do you weaponize an election to sell pillows? Pillows. It's wild. It's wild. Okay. So I'm just going through this. I saw that the lady was shot in the face trying to climb through a broken window. It's nothing but mess. It's nothing but mess. They even got to stay home on their own recognizance until their trial. Yes, the 2 men that were like crying that they didn't want to sit in prison. You committed crimes. Like, wild. And to L. Summers' point, people died while felonies were being committed, charge them with felony murder. Exactly. There are multiple people like that are an actual proximity to be accomplices to murder and should be charged with felony murder. So felony murder, if you're not familiar, felony murder is, which I don't necessarily agree with felony murder. The way it's applied is usually problematic and a mess. But say you and I rob a bank and we're robbing the bank and I'm like, okay, I'm a robber. I got to pay these student loans, and we rob the bank. And you're like, I'm a robber and I'm a murderer, and you kill somebody. Because I committed the felony with you and the murder occurred, I will get charged with felony murder. You'll get charged with most likely like premeditated murder. So first degree, you'll get charged with, and I'll get charged with felony murder as well. So felony murder is if a murder occurs while you are actively participating in this felony, you are getting charged. It usually is not applied fairly because the person who's getting charged with felony murder is like, wait, I was trying to do a low-level crime. I wasn't trying to do all that. So it is problematic. But yes, these people, I mean, it gets applied all the time to Black and brown people. So a lot of these people should have gotten charged with felony murder. A good portion of them, at least a handful. Kiki For Free, it's the people, the thugs. I mean, this keeps saying thugs. I think it's always interesting who gets labeled as thugs, and it's never people that are actually doing thug nonsense. It's people's brothers, friends, cousins, fathers, siblings, aunts, and uncles. Yes, and there were plenty of women present, and I'm glad you said aunts as well. There's plenty of women present because what's interesting in when people re-show the certain footage and the pictures, and specifically in terms of whose pictures have gone viral, it's usually the men, but there are plenty of women. The person that stole the laptop was a young white woman. You are stealing national security. You are stealing a laptop from a senator. No long jail sentence. No, she's not on the list of people with long jail sentences. Just let her walk out with the laptop. Just let her walk out with the laptop. And to Robert's point, clans people are grandparents, siblings, lovers too. Listen, full lives, full lives. Okay. Yep. To J2 times point, Biden was elected because people were voting against Trump, not because they were voting for Biden. Someone needs to tell Joe that, because I feel like Joe doesn't know that sometimes, and he'd just be real full of himself, and it's very irritating. But yes. Oh, wow. Blue Court, sadly, I'm so glad I left voter engagement and voter protection nonprofit work as a program director. The stress posted on 16 made my hair fall out. I can imagine. Because what people don't realize is that, yes, America has low voter turnout in terms of like 50% of the population votes, but it's who's allowed to vote. There are very racist laws put in place to ensure that certain types of people aren't allowed to vote. If you have a felony in certain states, you're not allowed to vote. What does that have to do with whether or not you understand the democratic process? What does that have to do with whether or not you have served your time and realized like, okay, yeah, I know what type of person I want to run this place, or yeah, I realized something wrong, or because this country is full of malarkey and nonsense, maybe you didn't even do anything. Maybe you did no crime. There are plenty of innocent people in jail. It's very interesting, but it's always interesting in that graph, that table showed it as well. It's the Republican-led states are always attacking voter rights because they do not want Black and brown people to vote. And their excuse is to say, no, we're making sure there's no fraud. Y'all are committing fraud. The fraud is you. You are the fraud. You are the fraud. All right. There were certain places, I think in Georgia, and I forgot where else, where they were trying to close the polling sites early. They closed people's polling sites and then forced people to go to one polling site to basically deter people from voting. These are the same things they did during Reconstruction, after Reconstruction in history, before and after the Civil Rights Act that even allowed the Civil Rights Act in like 1964, so 1965. I always get the year. I think it's 1964, and I think the Voter Rights Act is 1975. One of those dates is wrong. It's the same tactics. It's the same, like, let's play the poll tax. Can you write your name? Can you guess how many things are in the jar? Can you do this, that, and the next? It's the same thing. It's the same thing under a different name. To Blue Quartz's point, this was America's chance to really be the law and order country and prosecute every treasonous actor. None of those people should have been allowed to go home that same day. They should have all gotten booked. They should have all gotten booked and then went through and been like, okay, you owner of Rouse's, what were you doing over here? You know, you're a little bit older. Are you senile? How did you end up over here? Did this Viking man, did he bamboozle you into being over here? Oh, you chose to be over here. Do you know what you did? Do you know you're trespassing? They shouldn't have just let them all go home and then pretend like, oh, we are using video surveillance now to track these people down. There's no need to track them down. We saw all of them on national television. You let them walk away. Now you're tracking them. You wasted more money. For what? For what? What was the reason? And to J times 2's point, mental gymnastics dictates that law and order only applies to certain people. Exactly. Law and order only applies if you are black or brown. That's it. That's it. Okay. All right. Are we all caught up? So if y'all want, we can do like calls for like a little bit since we finished so early. I haven't done calls in forever. Now remember what I said. Disclaimer again. Don't come on here acting foolish. My voice may be gone, but it's not gone enough to not cuss you out. All right. So I'm going to continue to go through comments, see if anybody calls. Okay. And to Kendron's point, they can't win if they don't cheat. And I think they've realized that, which is why like the Dems like lackadaisical, automatic, oh, well, of course black people are voting for us is super offensive, but they know we're going to vote for them because it's in our best interest to do that. Which is why this country needs more than two-party setup. The two-party setup is not helping anybody. It's really nonsense. We really should have a Labor Party for working class people. The idea that you have people that actively vote against their interests because they have certain moral allegiances to certain things is nonsense. It's really nonsense. The idea that most people in America are actually working poor, but actively, can't address that because of shame, can't receive access to proper health care, can't receive access to proper benefits. Do you know the Social Security office? I was reading an article. This is very much off topic now, but I was reading an article that the Social Security offices across the country have been closed the entire pandemic. And they've been closed the entire pandemic, for safety reasons, because we're in a panorama for the employees. But one of the things that was coming up in the article is that the Social Security offices are designed to serve the poor, the indigent, and the elderly, and particularly in rural communities, which rural communities always get ignored, in urban communities. So when they're closed, if someone is 65 and they're trying to get their Social Security, like, hey, I did my bid, I did all my years of labor, running my check. If they don't have a computer, they can't go online. They can't even go into Social Security office, which a lot of people now are behind on benefits and are basically starving, which is wild in the alleged richest country in the world. America has a lot of issues. America has a lot of issues. Connect. Oh, Lori, I see that you're calling. It says you have to connect your mic before I can add you. So once you connect your mic, then I can add you. Because it won't let me do it, because then it won't be able to hear you. Listen, and to Coffee Please, they wouldn't have gone home if they were POC. That's for damn sure. Violence would have occurred. As somebody who has attended like numerous protests, like since law school, it is always like police violence. There are more than 10 black people. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Numerous police show up, but a mob of insurrectionist white people. Oh, wow. I guess we're just having the day off. And the police that did show up, some of them moved the barricades, which is there's so much video. Some of them have gotten arrested as well for helping. It's a mess. It's a mess. ACO 420, all I know is if America tries to talk some nonsense, I'm going to just say January 6th and y'all let treason happen. That's it. That's all there is to say at this point. That's all there is to say. And to Felicia's point, they were hoping we forgot, which we're not going to forget. We're not going to forget until it's written in all the children's textbooks. Like, okay, let's do modern history. Boom, January 6th. January 6th, this happened, and I want the people's faces in it too so they can feel shame. Hi, Poor Majesty. Thank you for being one of the only Black outlets talking about this. Oh, you're welcome. I would say that's twofold because, to be honest, last time we talked about this, I hid it inside of a Khloe Kardashian live because the trolls are too much. The trolls are really too much. And that's why, as a Black content creator, I have learned, like, either you have the patience that day or you don't have the patience that day because it's not fair. YouTube don't protect nobody. YouTube loves drama and nonsense. So the more it can see like engagement, negative or positive, it will allow that. But I'm glad the trolls are keeping their blood pressure low. Listen, I'm telling you, keep your blood pressure low for your own good. So they seem to be fine today, which is good. All right, so I'm going through this. And then Hugh McDonald, we need a way to reduce the influence of money or the way it operates disparately. Yeah, of who has access. Like, if you have a job in this country, you have a full-time job, regardless of what the job is. So bringing up my mayor and his awful comments, because that man just says whatever he wants to say. It makes no sense. I'm like, sir, you're into this job for 2 days and you're already saying foolishness. When he decided to call a large portion of the workers in New York low skilled, and he decided to call them that, and now has since tried to backpedal and been like, I too was a dishwasher. No, sir, you said what you said. People don't treat jobs with dignity in America. Every job, they don't treat every job with dignity. If you work full time, you should be able to provide for yourself. One of the most flabbergasting things, we're going to do a video on how the billionaires are stealing from us. I'm like started like doing the research on it. We're going to do like another video on it, like a more in-depth video. And one of the wild things that came up in my research was I was researching the Waltons. The Waltons own Walmart. They are the richest family in America. No, it is not Kim K and them. It is the Waltons. It's actual real money. Multiple billionaires, hundreds of billions of dollars in that family for no good reason. No good reason besides selling junk in a giant warehouse store that everyone now is addicted to because the price is low. When you onboard as an employee, an actual retail employee, or a factory employee at Walmart, you also are onboarded and given access to a brochure to explain Social Security and whatever, not just Social Security, but Social Security benefits, as well as Medicaid, and the, what is it called? It's called different things in like different places. EBT, as in you can be a full-time worker and they're telling you like, well, we know you're going to need access to this because we don't pay you that much. So this is how you sign up for food stamps. That should be illegal. But it's not. And then you have the people saying inflation is caused by you trying to pay workers more. No, inflation is caused by you paying your executives tens of millions of dollars in bonuses for no reason. What do you need 10, 20, 30, 40, $100 million bonus for? What did you do? Nothing. But yet people are signing up to work at Walmart because that's oftentimes in rural places, that's the only employer. And then being told like, oh yeah, if you need access to food stamps, this is how you get it. Why should someone have to be on food stamps if they work full time? Shouldn't their money be enough? But it's not in this country because this country is very skewed. Yet people think the American dream is live and well. There are a few people mad in my I Quit video that I said, you need to let the American dream go. Free yourself from the idea of the American dream because it's a scam, because it's not real. All right. That was a random, long-winded tangential thing. Okay, let's keep going. ACO 420, like I keep saying, America is a third world country in first world robes. America is wearing a Gucci belt and everything else is from Wally World. That's it. That's all it's doing. And the Gucci belt probably is fake. Let's be honest. Lakeisha, I'm considering moving to Panama, Costa Rica, or Portugal. I'm washing my hands of the USA. I'm tired. Listen, you're going to love it. It's going to be great. If you're moving to Portugal, I think it's called, what's her channel called? I'm going to look it up. I think it's called Driven Spice. On YouTube, she's great. It's this Black woman that moved to Portugal, I think a year or two ago, and she helps other, mostly women. And I would say, I think like the focus is on Black women, like move abroad. So highly recommend her channel. I stumbled upon it, and she seems like such a lovely person. So Reed Kicker, I honestly believe it would have been a massacre had it been too many Black people in the crowd. Had it been Black, there was like that one or two random Black person that you see in pictures, and they're just like looking around, like I don't know what they were doing. But yeah, 100%, I agree. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay, I think we've gone through all of it. New Nubian, I've been going on rants about how it's ridiculous people have to work 2 jobs and a half to survive. It is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It should be shameful to American government that this is what the normal average American is doing. But people are very much would rather like turn their eye to that and instead look at Dave Ramsey and be like, well, it's because you're lazy. That's why you have to do these things. Or you have a spending problem or this or that. And I'm like, no, that's not what that can't be right. That can't be right. That cannot be right. Kendra, and Walmart is actually the worst, not to mention how they squeeze their suppliers. Exactly. They pay the lowest margins to make the most profit just for themselves. In Bentonville, I think it's Bentonville, where Walmart headquarters is in Arkansas. This comment is not meant to sound classist and egregious. It's meant to show that this doesn't really make good sense. One of the Waltons loves art. She then proceeded to purchase all of this expensive artwork, all this fancy artwork to make a basically world-class museum in Bentonville, which is nice. Like if Bentonville actually was full of people from Arkansas, it's not. It's full of Walmart corporate workers that they have poached from Amazon, from Microsoft, from everywhere else to live in Bentonville. It's like a liberal oasis inside Arkansas. And because they needed something to do, and to be honest, she just wanted to have a museum next to her so she could look at it, there is now a Met-style museum inside Bentonville, Arkansas, which is very random. And also that money could have went back to the community that you clearly bulldozed, gentrified, and pushed out to put all these corporate workers in. Foolishness. Which, to Kiki's point, Kiki for free, the billionaires make their money and then burn the bridges behind them so others can't follow their footsteps. They lobby to clear their own path and then close the doors behind them. Exactly. And then use tax loopholes to pass it on to their children. I think it's going to be a really interesting video when we do that. One of the people that we're going to cover is Scripps. So the Scripps family started the newspapers back. They're what now, 3-4 generations removed, almost 100 years ago, I would say. And Scripps also owns a huge slew of TV channels, including like Discovery, etc. So like their great-great-grandchildren now are also multimillionaires, hundreds of $1 million worth each. There are 50 separate Scripps families now who have not worked a day in their life. There's inherited money. It makes no logical sense. It's very, very interesting. So we're going to cover that. Walmart sounds just as bad as Amazon. Walmart is just as bad as Amazon. Just as bad, maybe worse. I don't actually, who could be worse than Big B? They're, I would say just the same. Maybe just the same. Blame my landlord. Sorry. I'm going to write them an email again. Like, this is crazy. It's so cold in here. And we'll end on Antonio's point, and then I'll give y'all a schedule update on what's coming up on the channel. Antonio S., I thought everyone knew Walmart was getting over on not providing insurance benefits by keeping them sub 30 hours, which is what they're doing. A lot of corporations do this. They make sure you don't hit full-time status, so they don't have to give you insurance. This should be illegal again, which is what politicians are for. They're supposed to represent the people. Most of them do not do this. Most of them are not doing this. They are not. They're, I don't know, fla-la-lying, doing nonsense. Okay, so I'm just going to read through all of them, make sure we get all of this. And Nikita, America spent their last to get that Gucci belt. And that's why we're all here. I think our student loans bought them that Gucci belt, to be honest. I think it was our student loans. All right. So I appreciate y'all. Things coming up. Let me see. Oh, Jonathan. Now this is about scripts. Now I didn't know they did that to get money. I just thought they were a spelling bee sponsor, right? See how they look philanthropic now? No, the Scripps family is trifling. We're going to get into that. And then they have just a preview of it. They have one very embarrassing heir who is on some MTV reality show. Yes. And he's very much giving Florida man. It's very interesting. I think y'all will very much enjoy that video. So things coming up, I will let y'all know. So we are going to I want to do more like commentary-esque videos instead of just lawyer reacts. Because as y'all know, I'm a recovering lawyer now. So I'm going to branch out into other stuff. So we are going to start with dynastic tax evasion. That name is not like catchy. So I need a new catchy name for that, but about the billionaires. It's specifically how they're passing on all this money, and this doesn't make any sense because them not paying taxes is why our taxes are so high. It is why my taxes alone, federal, state, and city tax, are hovering almost to 40%. It is why they are to blame 1,000%. So we're going to do that, a video on them. I think we're going to do one on the hypergamy girls. We're going to see, which that's specifically for the girls, and the girls, if the men, if you want to watch that too, might be interesting. You might not be familiar, but YouTube is the algorithm on YouTube is very, I would say, limited in what type of content it pushes out to Black people, which if you watch my channel, like maybe you'll get like some other lawyers might pop up, like maybe some drama channels might pop up, because I usually try to tie whatever our topic is to something that's like currently a current event. But I also get a lot, like a new wave of like femininity, hypergamy videos targeted towards women that in my opinion are like very much like, you need to be a pretty mouse. Is very foolish. It's very nonsense. So I think we'll do a video on that, because what they're not telling you is they are, from a legal perspective, setting people up very much so to be preyed upon and to fall into a relationship of financial abuse. And as a lawyer, I've seen it numerous times. I'm like, this is a mess. So I think we're going to do a video on that. And then we're going to do The Matrix. So that was supposed to come out when The Matrix came out, that lawsuit, which that is like an older lawsuit, but I think is a very interesting lawsuit in which there is a woman who wrote a book years ago to which she sued and claimed The Matrix is a Black woman. The Matrix and Terminator stole her idea for those movies. And the lawsuit's actually very interesting, since the lawsuit has already been finalized and ruled on years ago. So there's an actual definitive ruling on who actually owns The Matrix. And it's not as cut and dry, I think, as people think. So we'll do that one. And yeah, so if there's anything else you want to see, so if you want like any certain like commentary stuff, or if you want a lawyer reacts video, we can do that. And then on Patreon, we're continuing Colonizer Exposed. I'm gonna try, at least for Patreon, to start doing content batch filming and then do a schedule for the month. I think that'll keep me on task. And then for YouTube, I'm gonna try do posting on Monday and then lives on Thursday. We'll see if we get there by next week. That's the goal. So hopefully Monday and Thursday we can do. But yes. Oh yeah, Robert, with the Byron Allen. Maybe we can work him in, Byron Allen. I think like maybe we'll do like some smaller ones too. So, but yeah, we're gonna do that. And yes, the femininity and the child. It's very interesting. It's very problematic and very interesting. So I think we should talk about it, because there's so much. And then somehow the fashionista girls got dragged into it. And I'm like, this is a separate thing. Like, how y'all dragging the fashion channels into this? This is two different things with the hypergamy and the femininity stuff. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Ross Club, Rambo, Blackground, Records and Aaliyah. I'm a little bit afraid of Aaliyah's uncle, but yeah, maybe we could do that. That man is scary. But yeah, maybe we could do that too. So we're gonna do that, and then I think. Oh, so I've said this numerous times, so we'll see. This year, my goal is to finally like do omni-channel. So I'm gonna try the TikTok again. I've tried the TikTok numerous times, and every time like I don't get it and I turn it off. I think I'm gonna put like my career transition and then student loan money stuff solely on the TikTok. Like the student loan payoff videos every week will still live on YouTube, but maybe like more detailed, like, okay, like let's talk about budgets and things like that on TikTok. The only reason is I don't want to do like long form of that. I feel like that's actually like probably easier for short form. So let's try that. Let's try that. Ooh, so this is a cool one, Brianna. We should talk about how companies like Fashion Nova is overrated, have a negative influence on body image. Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. And also how they use child labor. So a lot of them, I'm not specifically saying Fashion Nova, but a lot of fast fashion. Exactly, Jays. By me saying that TikTok, we all know, like, listen, it will happen if it happens. If it doesn't, it's also fine. But we'll see. We'll see. So on that, it's 8 o'clock, just in time for dinner time for y'all. And yeah, I will catch y'all on Patreon. I'll catch y'all on Sunday. And then hopefully I will catch the rest of you on Monday. We're going to try. We're going to get on a schedule. I'm saying that to myself. I'm going to get on a schedule. I'm going to get on Blue Quartz before you fall into the rabbit hole. It's a lot. I'm just going to tell you it's a lot. It's a lot of rabbit hole. Once you click one, then all of them will come up. So I'm just going to put that out there. And then I'm going to apologize in advance because it's very, very interesting. All right. So I will catch y'all next week. I'll catch y'all this week. I'll see y'all soon. All right. Thank you all, and enjoy some wine for me. This is, water is not really doing it the same, but it'll be fine. Bye, y'all.